live from the parking lot of Sprouts Farmers Market in beautiful Sacramento, California. Anyway, I'm back from the desert, and
I've noticed.
I am somewhat grizzled. Now I know what grizzled means.
I'm more than somewhat grizzled.
What's that I hear from that grizzled? Here, I'm gonna turn it over to there. You don't look grizzled.
I'm the grizzled old woman. I had something I wrote when in the middle of Lon's trip to the desert. I wrote a note to my cousins and thought, oh, this would be good to read to everybody on Tuesday because I missed you all because I haven't had to. It's been 2 weeks, and then I read it yesterday and went, I'm in altered states when Lon's gone. I'm not reading this to anybody. I don't even remember how I felt. I don't even feel that way now. I'm back to my other self. So I'm tired out from doing all of Lon's laundry and everything. I have nothing to say. I'm just happy I've endured the return. Class was nice last night.
It was nice.
We had 6 very, they were wonderful people, let's just face it. But then I tend to like most people, but they're...
Everyone's nice around you.
No, well...
Except assholes.
I don't know any of those.
We haven't seen really an asshole in a while.
Anyway, but they're very nice people. And class was, Lon did a good class. It was the kind of class where it was Enochian and he set up toys. And it was the kind of class where my job for class, besides, doing Lon's laundry and everything, still unpacking and stuff, was cleaning the house, scrubbing the bathroom, and making tea. Which, I'm sure that's needed, but I didn't feel very fulfilled after class.
No, we didn't study for a week and things like that.
I did, but that doesn't matter. I didn't have anything to study because it was
a different subject.
It was a different subject. Yeah, it's not that I don't have any interest in it. I just don't have any expertise in it because I don't dwell in those realms.
But we did scry. Did you have any kind of...
Yes, but no sense talking to people about that either.
Okay. It wasn't the giant amoeba again or anything like that.
Are they talking green bean?
They're talking green bean.
No. Green beans seem to talk to me.
Okay, now I don't want to jinx it for anybody or put a run on it, but you actually found eggs for a reasonable price.
Well, I found eggs at the same, I'll tell you the brand name because they may be all over the country. It's called Vital Farms. They're expensive eggs. They're $7.99 a dozen they're not organic ones, and which I buy because they're like individual family farms. They have a little newspaper. Anyway, I sort of trust them. They may be horrible. I don't know. I have to trust somebody, but they haven't gouged their prices. I think they've been the same price in like 2 years or 2 years or something close to that. Except when they're on sale, and I think they have avoided the bird food because they're extremely kind to their chickens and they're a lot of free range, and I used to buy them just because the eggs were good and they're kind to their chickens, and you can actually look on the box and see and check out the farm where they come from. All kinds.
Is that the one where they have stories?
They're black boxes. They have little newspapers with recipes in every box, like a one-page little. With
stories about the individual
girls,
chickens.
Yeah. The bird of the month and stuff like that.
It's a chicken cabalist's
dream.
Egg source.
Yeah. Anyway, so so if you're paying a fortune for eggs, you might. I don't know if you have that brand where you live. It's still a fortune, but but they are good eggs and they're nice to their chickens. So, and we don't use that many eggs. Actually, we only have eggs usually on Sunday, and then I bake. If I bake something, I put it in or something, so it lasts a while, and eggs do last a while if they're refrigerated. So.
Oh, I'm still tired from the trip.
He's been sleeping for 3 days.
I slept.
Days.
Yeah,
He slept
I took
all-
a 9-hour nap in the middle of it.
after a night's sleep.
After a
He
night's
ate
sleep.
something and then took a 9-hour nap. But that's okay because it gave me plenty of time to do all that work.
Yes.
Of unpacking his
I
clothes,
wasn't
airing out
I
his
wasn't
suitcases.
underfoot.
He wasn't underfoot.
Well,
And there's
yeah.
no way I was going to have a chance to lay down anyway. So
Well, the Holy Table is back
with Taryn,
with Taryn at the.
I'm back to. I hope you're not watching me.
Okay, no, I'm back to. Let's see. I turn it back to myself like that. Very good. Anyway, thank you, dear. I'm going to go in. Memorize the bathroom code for me,
They
please.
don't tell you.
They don't tell.
They don't trust you. Every now and then they trust you.
Yes. Okay.
Mostly not.
All right.
I'm going to roll this window down a little bit because it has been nice.
It's very nice.
It's been
Yeah.
high 60s.
It's high 60s. See? Very nice day. Anyway, there's just a couple little things I want to talk about this morning. And two out of the three things I want to talk about all more or less come from Aleister Crowley's The Book of Lies. Now, The Book of Lies is one of the first books I got probably around 1971 or 72. A nice little hardback edition from Weiser. Thinking that, oh, who is this Aleister Crowley character? Oh, this book, on the back it says it explains the secrets of Freemasonry and things like that. And if you're familiar with the Book of Lies, it is 91, mostly one-page, strange things that there's a couple of rituals in it, and there's like prose poetry, and it was talking about things that are way over my head, V, and Master of the Temple, and Magus talk, and Cross the Abyss talk, and things like that. And there's a string, 4, maybe 5 chapters that are dedicated to Layla. Okay, and Crowley at the time he was at least assembling the Book of Lies was absolutely smitten, head over heels in love with Layla Waddell. Okay, not only that, but he did. He considered her like chelas in the Eastern traditions, yogic traditions. Part of the technique of the master-student relationship in the East includes this idea of devotion to the master. And so the student or the chela projects upon the master divinity. So the master's words are the words of God, God itself. The master's instructions are God's direct communication to them and such. Now, obviously the danger of that is that's quite a responsibility for the teacher. And cynical me says 9.999% of human beings really can't adequately handle that responsibility. Those that do are extraordinary individuals. But anyway, that's how Crowley needed a devotional side to him, okay? Much like John Dee, the left hemisphere of his brain, as I point to my right, the left hemisphere of his brain was so dominant, so engaged, okay? It was it sort of overshadowed his right hemisphere. And one of the main skills, I guess, of the right hemisphere is your ability to fall head over heels in love, okay? Not only that, but to recognize that love as being so intense that the temporary object of your adoration is God itself. And so Crowley had that with Layla. I'm sure he had it with other women in his life for whom he considered it Scarlet Woman. It was sort of like the above the abyss Shiva Shakti kind of relationship. But he just loved Layla, and there's these Layla chapters that is just, you can tell that the love bug has bit him so bad that the intensity of his love toward Layla was matched by what he opened himself up to receive the love back from Layla, and it created that love feedback, and he was just aflame with it in some of these chapters of the Book of Lies. But that's not what I'm going to talk to you about this morning. I'm going to talk about something that I tried to explain this past week at the desert workshops about the magic energy that is generated between the magician, the Enochian magician, and the holy table. Okay. And the holy table is meant to be a miniature working model of the cosmos. Okay. Something that is such a pure representation of the workings, the machinery of the cosmos, that it vibrates in sympathy with the universal vibration of existence. That's what the Temple of Solomon the King, or King Solomon's Temple, was supposed to do. It was supposed to be constructed in such a way that the proportions of every aspect of it was a pure microcosmic representation of the huge structure of the universe. Okay, and if the huge structure of the universe was a B flat hum, that's holding everything together, and everything is created in and is sustained by and is destroyed by all of that the mechanics of that vibratory hum. If you constructed a tiny tuning fork that was constructed as a perfect miniature, it would act like a tiny B flat tuning fork, and it would go to the same vibration. You wouldn't have to touch it to anything. Okay, a B flat's a B flat, and you blow it out of your speakers, and it'll set that little tuning fork, tuning that same thing. Well, that's what the Temple of Solomon was supposed to do. It was supposed to house the living presence of the true and living God Most High, and it did it by becoming a miniature of the true and living God Most High, so it would vibrate with the same frequency as the universe itself. And in poetic form, it's, and God came and lived there. You know, God's presence was in the Holy of Holies of the temple. Well, that holy table in the Enochian system is your equivalent of the Temple of Solomon the King, a perfect miniature working model of the cosmos. And how it does that's is kind of a complex, it's a very complex story of how it's constructed. And for our purposes, just this morning, temporarily take my word for it that it does. And the holy table, in a sense, was instructions for building the holy table were such as to create that perfect working model of the cosmos. But there was something else that the magician wore around his or her neck, a breastplate, in the same tradition as the breastplate of the Levite high priest of Israel. And the breastplate was constructed along the same lines, using the same components, if you will, of the holy table, and constructed with almost identical component parts, alphanumeric parts, okay? But number one, in backward order, and number two, not quite symmetrical. In other words, the holy table was constructed with spiritual beings, if you will, the names of them, of kings and princes. And there's 7 of them. I've only got 5 fingers, so I can't really show you. But there's 7 of them. 7 kings and 7 princes, all assigned to the planetary spheres. Venus, Luna, Mercury, Saturn, etc. And the holy table, the kings and the princes are all matched, and their names go from are read from right to left. Let's say, and they all match in perfect unison, and they're all described in that way in that holy table, which is sitting there vibrating like this. But the lamen, which is placed over the magician's heart, has the exact same components, okay, and was received in the exact same way, only the princes and the kings don't match. Not only that, but they're read from left to right, as if passed through a looking glass, turned inside out, and then not quite in sync. And that's just the way we are. When the Kabbalists say that we're made in the image of God, well, you're damn right we're made in the image of God, but we're not. I don't feel like I'm made in. I'm out of whack. I may have all the components of the perfected map of existence, but I'm a little out of whack still. Not only that, but I am on the other side of a membrane where everything's are turned around. Just like if you would walk through a looking glass. Left would be right and right would be left. So, when the magician puts on the breastplate and sits his imperfect breastplate with all the good parts, but just a little out of whack, the magician, in a way, is sitting there hoping the perfection of the holy table will create sort of a link that is striving to re-perfect yourself. And that sets up okay, let's try to get you through the looking glass there. And then the Shreve stone is placed right there in the center of the table. Can you sort of see the method to the madness of that? Well, excuse me for a second while I look. In one of those one-page chapters in the Book of Lies, I've got it on my Kindle here, so it is chapter 40, and it's called the Hemog, which is the notaricon of Holy Illuminated Man of God. Hemog. And here's what it says. A red rose absorbs all colors but red. Red is therefore the one color that it is not. This law, reason, time, space, all limitation blinds us to the truth. All limitation blinds us to the truth. All that we know of man, nature, God, is just that which they are not. It is that which they throw off as repugnant. The Hemog is only visible insofar as he is imperfect. Then are they all glorious who seem not to be glorious, as the Hemog is all glorious within? I'm going to repeat that again, then are they all glorious who seem not to be glorious, as the Hemog is all glorious within? It may be so. How then distinguish the inglorious and perfect Hemog from the inglorious man of earth? Distinguish not. But thyself extinguish. Hemog art thou, and Hemog shalt thou be. Do you see why I didn't immediately appreciate the Book of the Laws as a 27-year-old kid? Okay. That's the Hemog. And when I read it, I saw, in a sense, what I was trying to explain to everyone about the relationship between the lamen and the holy table in an Enochian working. Okay, I have two other things I want to read from the Book of Lies, and it is the second chapter because it's related to the 44th chapter. Are you familiar, or any of you familiar with a ritual called the Mass of the Phoenix? Well, the Mass of the Phoenix actually happens to be chapter 44 of this book. It's the ritual that is meant to be done at sunset, just as the sun is setting and the last rays of the day's sun is sort of shining on the bare breast of the magician, who, after a little bit of preparation, and while the light of the sun is still on the magician's chest, it makes a small cut or a little mark, just enough for a little drop of blood to appear and to absorb and, in a sense, trap that last rays of the sun. Okay. Don't go slashing your chest open with a scalpel like I did once. It's a long story. Don't. You just need a tiny little drop, like kind of when you remove a scab, or just a small little break in the skin. But anyway, in chapter 2, it sort of sets the stage for what's going to happen. And I think he wrote chapter 2 prior to chapter 44. We can't be sure, but here's what it says. It's the cry of the hawk. Hur hath a secret fourfold name. It is, do what thou wilt. 4 words. Not one, many, all. Thou child, thy name is holy, thy kingdom is come, thy will is done. Here is the bread, here is the blood. Bring us through temptation, deliver us from good and evil. That's 5. That mine as thine be the crown of the kingdom, even now. Abrahadabra. These 10 words are for the name of the one. Now that sentence is even 10 words. And 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. But there's things that we're going to recognize in the rites of the Mass of the Phoenix. Thou child, thy name is holy, thy kingdom is come, thy will is done. Here is the bread, here is the blood. Bring us through temptation, deliver us from good and evil. Can you see the structure, the format of what we commonly call the Lord's Prayer in that? Okay. Now let's turn to page 44, the Mass of the Phoenix. Now I'm going to read it to you, stage directions and all. Don't worry, it's very close. very short. The Mass of the Phoenix, which is 44. 44 is the easiest, simplest way to spell or to write 44 is to spell it Daleth Mem, DM, which adds to 44, and it is the Hebrew word blood. The magician, his breast bare, stands before an altar on which are his burin, it's a gouging tool, a bell, thurible, and 2 cakes of light. In the sign of the Enterer, he reaches west across the altar and cries, "Hail, Ra, that goest in thy bark into the caverns of the dark." He gives the sign of silence, takes the bell and fire in his hands. East of the altar see me stand, with light and music in mine hand. He strikes 11 times on the bell, and he does it 3-5-3. Okay. He places the fire on the thurible. I strike the bell, I light the flame, I utter the mysterious name, Abra Hadabra. He strikes 11 more times upon the bell. Now I begin to pray. Thou child, holy thy name and undefiled. Thy reign is come, thy will is done. Here is the bread, here is the blood. Bring me through midnight to the sun. Save me from evil and from good, that thy one crown of all the 10, even now and here, be mine. Amen. He puts the first cake of light on the fire of the thurible. I burn the incense cake, proclaim these adorations of thy name. And it says, he makes them as in Liber Legis, and strikes again 11 times upon the bell. Okay, now the adorations, it's usually interpreted, the light is mine, its rays consume me. I have made a secret door into the house of Ra and tomb of Kephra and Ahithur. I am thy Theban, O Mentu, the prophet Ankof Nakansu. By best Namot my breast I beat, by wise Tanik I weave my spell. Show thy star splendor, O Nuit, bid me within thine house to dwell. O winged snake of light, Hadit, abide with me, Rahur Kuit. At least that's how I was taught, yes. But anyway, he makes the adorations, okay, as in Liber Legis, and strikes again 11 times on the bell. Then with the burin, he then makes upon his breast the proper sign. Behold this bleeding breast of mine gashed with the sacramental sign. And the second cake of light he picks up and he puts it over the drop of blood. I staunch the blood, the wafer soaks it up, and the high priest invokes. And then with full intent to bring the sun itself into his body, the magician eats that cake. This bread I eat, this oath I swear as I inflame myself with prayer. There is no grace, there is no guilt. This is the law, do what thou wilt. He strikes 11 times on the bell. That's a total of 44 times he rings the bell. I entered in with woe, with mirth I now go forth, and with thanksgiving, to do my pleasure on the earth among the legions of the living. He goeth forth. Now, the Egyptology nuts in the group listening today will recognize certain passages from vignettes of the Egyptian Book of the Dead and the passing through the Tuat. Okay. But anyway, I thought you would get a kick out of that. We sort of had a potpourri today. Anyway, it's so good to be back. But I had what I can only describe as an eternal moment or two in the desert of Joshua Tree. Joshua Tree was a pivotal moment in my life 58 years ago, and I have to say, once again, it did not disappoint. Sort of like a bookends in my magical career, certainly landmark. Anyway, that's it for today. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.